Imagine lying in bed at night. The house is quiet, you are exhausted, and you're just trying to drift off to sleep, but you can't because your feet are on fire. Or maybe it's not fire. Maybe it feels like you're wearing a pair of tight, prickly wool socks, even though your feet are bare. Maybe it's a numbness that creeps up your toes, making you stumble when you get out of bed in the dark because you literally cannot feel where the floor is. If this sounds familiar, you are not alone. Peripheral neuropathy affects millions of people over the age of 60. And what is the standard solution? You go to the doctor, you describe the burning, the tingling, the pins and needles, and they hand you a prescription. Maybe it's Gabapentin, maybe it's Lyrica. They tell you these drugs will manage the pain, but they don't tell you that these drugs are not fixing the nerve. They are just turning down the volume on the alarm signal while the fire is still burning down the house. Most seniors accept this. They think, well, I'm getting older, my circulation is bad, this is just part of aging. I am here to tell you that is a lie. That burning, that numbness, that loss of balance, it is not a natural consequence of aging. It is a sign of a starving nerve. Your nerves are crying out for help because they are running out of fuel, and the fuel they are missing is likely a single specific vitamin that most standard blood tests completely miss. We are talking about vitamin B1, also known as thiamine, but, and this is the most critical part of this entire video, so please do not click away, simply taking a B1 pill from the drugstore will not fix this. It won't work. The research shows you need a specific form, a specific delivery system to penetrate the nerve and turn the lights back on. In the next 20 minutes, we're going to break down exactly why your nerves are dying, why your doctor missed this deficiency, and the exact protocol to start reversing the damage in as little as 14 days. First, we have to understand what is actually happening inside your feet and hands. Why does it start there? Why the extremities? Think of your nerves like electrical wires. The longest wire in your body runs from your lower back all the way down to your big toe. That is a long distance for a signal to travel. And just like an electrical wire, your nerves have insulation. It's called the myelin sheath. This fatty, protective coating ensures the signal gets from your brain to your toe instantly. When you have neuropathy, two things are happening. First, the blood vessels that supply nutrients to that nerve are shrinking and dying, so the nerve is suffocating. Second, that insulation, the myelin sheath, is eroding, it's dissolving. So now you have a raw, exposed wire. When a wire is exposed, what happens? It sparks. That is the burning sensation. It short circuits. That is the numbness. It sends random, chaotic signals. That is the tingling and the ants crawling sensation. So why is the wire eroding? This is where the medical system often fails to explain the root cause. They might say diabetes or idiopathic, which just means we don't know. But the biochemistry is clear. Nerves are the most energy-hungry cells in your body. They need a constant, massive supply of fuel to maintain that electrical signal, and the primary fuel for your nerves is glucose, sugar. Now, wait, I know what you're thinking. If nerves need sugar and I have high blood sugar, shouldn't my nerves be happy? No, and this is the paradox. You can have gallons of fuel in your gas tank, but if you don't have a spark plug, the engine won't run. In the human body, the spark plug is vitamin B1, thiamine. Thiamine is the essential nutrient that allows your mitochondria, the power plants inside your cells, to take sugar and turn it into energy. Without thiamine, that sugar cannot be processed. It gets backed up. And when sugar backs up in the cell, it ferments. It turns into lactic acid and other toxic byproducts. So instead of creating energy, the cell creates toxic sludge. This is called oxidative stress. This acid literally burns the nerve from the inside out. It destroys the blood vessels feeding the nerve. It melts the myelin sheath. So the burning you feel in your feet, that is the biological equivalent of your nerves sitting in a bath of acid because they cannot process fuel. you are essentially suffering from a localized energy crisis. Now, why are so many people over 60 deficient in B1? You eat food, you take a multivitamin, how could you be starving for this nutrient? This is the scandal. Vitamin B1 is incredibly fragile, and our modern lifestyle is designed to destroy it. First, let's talk about diet. If you eat a diet high in refined carbohydrates, bread, pasta, white rice, sugar, pastries, you are burning through your B1 stores at a terrifying rate. Every gram of carbohydrate you eat requires a specific amount of B1 to process it. If you eat a bagel, your body uses up B1 to metabolize it. If you eat a bowl of pasta, you deplete even more. Most seniors have spent 40, 50, or 60 years eating a high-carb diet. You have effectively bankrupted your B1 account. You've been writing checks that your body can't cash for decades. Second, there are B1 antagonists. These are things that actively block or destroy B1 in the body. Do you drink coffee or tea, especially with meals? Coffee and tea contain tannins and other compounds that can block the absorption of thiamine. If you take your morning vitamins with a cup of coffee, you might be flushing that B1 straight down the toilet. Do you enjoy a glass of wine or a beer? Alcohol is the #1 enemy of B1. Alcohol prevents your intestines from absorbing it, and it prevents your liver from storing it. This is why severe alcoholics get wet brain or severe neuropathy. It is literally acute B1 deficiency. But you don't have to be an alcoholic. Even moderate chronic drinking over decades depletes this reserve. Third, medications. This is huge for the over 60 crowd. Are you on a diuretic, water pill for high blood pressure, Lasix, furosemide? These drugs force your body to flush water, but vitamin B1 is water-soluble. It flows right out with the water. You are peeing out your nerve protection every single morning. Are you on metformin for diabetes or prediabetes? Metformin is a miracle drug for blood sugar, but it is notorious for blocking B12 absorption. However, new research suggests it also impacts how B1 works. So you have a perfect storm. You're eating carbs that demand B1, you're taking meds that flush B1, you're drinking coffee that blocks B1, and you're getting older, which means your absorption is naturally weaker. Your nerves are starving. Okay, you say, I get it. I'll go to the store and buy a vitamin B1 supplement. Problem solved. Stop. Do not do that. It will not work, and here is why. Standard B1, the kind you find in a cheap B complex or a multivitamin, is called thiamine hydrochloride or thiamine mononitrate. These are water-soluble forms. Remember what we said about your nerves earlier. They're wrapped in a myelin sheath. It's a fatty layer. Water and oil do not mix. Water-soluble B1 has a very hard time penetrating that fatty layer of the nerve to get inside where the damage is. Plus, your body has a limit on how much water-soluble B1 it can absorb at once. You take 100 milligrams, your body absorbs maybe 5 milligrams, and you pee out the rest. It's incredibly inefficient. You cannot saturate the nerve tissue with standard thiamine. This is why you might have tried vitamins before and felt nothing. You were using the wrong key for the lock. To fix nerve damage, to actually repair that insulation, you need a form of B1 that is fat-soluble. You need a form that can slide right through that fatty membrane and flood the nerve cell with healing energy. This miracle molecule is called benfotiamine. Benfotiamine is a synthetic, fat-soluble version of B1. It was developed in Japan specifically to treat nerve disorders. Because it is fat-soluble, it passes through the digestive wall easily, it stays in your bloodstream longer, and most importantly, it penetrates the brain and the nerve sheath. Studies show that benfotiamine increases the levels of thiamine in your cells by up to 360% more than standard thiamine. It is a bioavailability rocket ship. When you take benfotiamine, it gets into the nerve cell and immediately jumpstarts the engine. It opens a biochemical pathway called the transketolase pathway. I won't bore you with too much chemistry, but think of this as the emergency exit for sugar. Remember the toxic sludge, the backup of sugar causing the acid burn? Then Thiamine opens the valve and clears that backup. It forces the sugar to be processed cleanly. It stops the production of those toxic byproducts. It essentially puts out the fire. Once the fire's out, the nerve can stop screaming. It can start to repair the myelin sheath. So here's the protocol. If you want to see results in 14 days, you need to be precise. First, you need to find a high-quality benfotiamine supplement. The standard therapeutic dose used in studies for neuropathy is typically between 300 to 600 milligrams per day. Most people start with 150 milligrams twice a day or 300 milligrams once a day with a meal containing fat, because remember, it's fat-soluble. But we don't stop there. We need a support team. The second player in this protocol is alpha-lipoic acid, specifically the R form called stabilized R-alpha-lipoic acid. Why this? Because while benfotiamine fixes the energy engine, alpha-lipoic acid fixes the blood flow. It is a potent antioxidant that restores the tiny blood vessels feeding the nerve. It also improves insulin sensitivity. The combination of benfotiamine and alpha-lipoic acid has been shown in clinical trials to reduce neuropathy pain significantly better than either one alone. They are best friends. They work together. The third player is B12, but again, not the cheap stuff. Check your multivitamin. If it says cyanocobalamin, throw it out. That is a synthetic form that contains a cyanide molecule. It is hard for your body to use. You need methylcobalamin. This is the active form that supports the coating of the nerve. So the holy trinity for nerve repair is benfotiamine, fat-soluble B1, alpha-lipoic acid, R-alpha-lipoic acid, methylcobalamin, B12. Now let's talk about the timeline. What can you expect if you start this tomorrow? In the first 3 to 5 days, you might not feel a change in the pain yet, but you might notice something else. You might have more mental clarity. The brain fog lifts. Why? Because your brain is also a mass of nerves that needs massive amounts of energy. Benfotiamine feeds the brain just as well as the feet. You might feel more stable on your feet. By day 7 to 10, many people report a change in the sensation. Now, this is important. Sometimes as nerves wake up, the sensation changes for a few days. Numbness might turn into tingling for a few days. This is actually a good sign. It means the signal is trying to get through. It's like when your foot falls asleep and then wakes up, right? That is called reperfusion. Do not be scared if the sensation shifts. It means the line is active. By day 14, this is where the magic happens. The burning at night usually drops significantly. You can tolerate the bed sheets touching your toes. The ants crawling sensation quiets down. You aren't healed 100% yet. Nerves grow slowly, about 1 millimeter a day, but the inflammation is gone. The fire is out. Now the rebuilding begins. But, and here is the massive warning, you cannot just take these pills and keep eating the poison. You have to lower the carbohydrate intake. You cannot expect benfotiamine to bail you out if you're dumping buckets of sugar into your system 3 times a day. You need to stop the assault. Cut the sugar, cut the refined flour, try to lower your intake of alcohol. Give your body a fighting chance to heal. I also want to address a question I get all the time. Doctor, my blood tests say my B1 levels are normal. My doctor says I don't have a deficiency. This is tragic. The standard blood test measures thiamine in the plasma, the liquid part of your blood. But thiamine doesn't live in the plasma. It lives inside the cells. You can have normal plasma levels and be completely bankrupt inside where it matters. This is called a functional deficiency. If you have the symptoms, the burning, the numbness, the balance issues, listen to your body, not just the lab sheet. Your symptoms are the reality. Let's talk about safety. Is benfotiamine safe? It has an incredibly high safety profile. It is water-soluble in terms of excretion, meaning if you take too much, your body can eventually get rid of it, like vitamin A or D, which can build up to toxic levels. It is generally very well tolerated. However, always check with your doctor, especially if you're undergoing chemotherapy, as antioxidants can sometimes interfere with certain cancer treatments. But for the vast majority of seniors suffering from this debilitating condition, this nutrient is a game changer. Imagine getting your life back. Imagine walking across the rug and actually feeling the texture of the fabric under your feet. Imagine sleeping through the night without having to hang your feet off the edge of the bed to cool them down. Imagine buttoning your shirt with your fingers fumbling because they're too numb to feel the button. This isn't just about pain relief, this is about independence. Neuropathy is a leading cause of falls in the elderly. When you can't feel your feet, you fall. When you fall, you break a hip. That's a spiral we want to avoid at all costs. Fixing your nerves is fixing your stability. It's preserving your ability to walk, to drive, to live alone. So, let's recap the 14-day challenge. Step 1, get benfotiamine. Look for 300 milligram capsules. Take one with breakfast and one with dinner. Step 2, add R-alpha lipoic acid, approximately 300 milligrams, and methyl B12. Step 3, eliminate the nerve toxins from your diet, specifically sugar and excess alcohol. Step 4, commit to this for 2 weeks. Don't settle for pain management. Don't settle for a life of numbness. Your body has an incredible capacity to heal, even after 60, even after 70. It just needs the right tools. It needs the spark plug. The science is there. The physiology is clear. The only thing missing is action. So, if this information has been helpful, think of someone you know who is suffering, maybe a spouse, a parent, a friend who complains about their feet hurting. Share this with them. You might be handing them the key to getting their life back. Start the protocol, feed your nerves, and turn the lights back on.